right, I am so excited. Hi, I'm Angélique Roché here for Ace Universe, and we are here with two of the stars of The Boys, Erin Moriarty and Antony Starr. Hi, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hi.
And hello, everyone out there.
Well, congratulations on the end of season 2. We were talking a little bit before the conversation, like I had to watch the finale twice. So many things happened. Also, we've had a little bit of a teaser now, a little bit of a knowing that we have a season 3 coming down, although it's told us absolutely nothing except that we might have some additions to the cast.
Exactly. And Jensen Ackles
That
is coming
does-
in
yeah.
as Soldier Boy. And so, we've got some exciting additions. I'm sure he's not going to be the only one. There's talk of a couple of other people that I'm sure you've seen on social media. Timothy Morgan. And so we'll see if that materializes. I think that's all of those casting ideas are kept pretty close to the chest by the powers that be until we get a little closer and a little deeper into things. But we're really excited. I'll let Erin speak for herself in a second, but we're really excited to be picked up. We knew very, very early that we were going for season 3. So it's nice to be involved with a show that's getting so much support from the network, and also, that's the great thing about TV is that we get to play these characters that we love and not do it just once for a movie, but we get to come back and put them in different situations and give the fans more of what they want, and has a bit more of a life. So what do you think, Erin?
Well, no, I agree. I'm really excited as well. I am very excited too about the rumblings I'm hearing about new characters, Soldier Boy included, because it seems like the running theme is that every season we've got new characters that come into play that shape the dynamic between characters. They come in and there's going to be something that they kind of, it seems like they change the chemistry between characters and they just shake things up. So from what I've heard, we're going to have a lot of that. And yeah, I mean, the funny thing about that teaser is like, we kind of know as much as you guys do, like we very much, we find out little things, but I kind of feel like even as we're getting the scripts when we're filming the season, I kind of feel like an audience member, because we're not going to get the first script for season 3 for a little while, and I'm also waiting with bated breath. So I'm just curious, because like you said, a lot goes down in that finale, and I'm so curious. Like with season 1 and the beginning of season 2, I just want to see, like with Homelander, for example, who inevitably you're going to see the aftermath manifest in him somehow of the finale of season 2. I'm so curious to see what our showrunner Eric Kripke writes for each character, because it's such that season 2 culmination point is so, like, it felt almost overwhelming to me when I watched it the first time, but in a great way. So I'm stoked to get the first script and to start working again, because it's just a fun job, honestly.
Well, and that brings me to one of my questions I was going to ask. Like, you've both personally, like, everyone's different. I have interviewed folks who have not watched their seasons. I have interviewed folks who have like traditions where they're like, oh no, I wait till it's all over, I watch it with my family, or we generally wait, right? Have both of you finished watching everything in post in its beautiful glory, like the fans saw it?
Yeah, we got it. We get a link because prior to the show being released to the public, of course, we've got to do press and we've got a launch process. So we get a little link so we can privately watch it on our laptops or TVs or whatever. And I do have a little ritual with myself. A lot of the time, I don't like watching myself. I'm hypercritical, like most of the people that I know. So I tend to sit and have a bottle of tequila and a shot glass, and work my way through the first viewing with that, and then gradually like talk myself into it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And then the second time I watch it, I can be a little more objective, and I'm not so judgmental. I've got that out the way in a gentle way, and I can watch it and be a little more, a little less harsh on myself. So
second time around, it's mine. First time around, it's tequila. Second time around, it's wine.
Yeah,
First
exactly.
time around.
And then beer.
Yeah,
and
wine
then
and beer.
I get to cordial and sparkling water. Exactly.
What about you, Erin?
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say a little lubrication goes a long way. And like Antony said, I think it seems to be universal amongst all actors I know to watch something for the first time. You're watching it just for yourself, right? And so you have it through this kind of skewed perspective where I wasn't really paying attention to anything else in the whole picture. But actually, for season 2, the first time I watched it, I think it's because it's such an ensemble cast. And even though we're both in it quite a bit, there are so many moments where we're not. So I was able to watch it a little bit more objectively. And it's the benefit of being in an ensemble cast, especially because we always joke, it's like we're working on 2 separate shows because there's the boys' world and the superhero world. I definitely crossed between those 2 this time, but I get to watch a lot of things that I wasn't there for the shooting of. So that was cool. But I would say also, like, when it comes to press, so much happens in season 2. There's so much going on that by the time we have to do press, which is nearly a year or like 9 months later, I don't really remember what happens in each episode because all the scripts, we shoot them over 6 months and we go back and forth a little bit and we don't necessarily shoot things in sequence. So I have to watch it before I do press to remind myself what happens each episode. And I just I love being in an ensemble cast and being in a cast with people I love and watching them nail it.
Yeah.
I
love that.
That's the whole reason we get that link, though. Because otherwise we wouldn't know what we're talking about. Because the other thing is we don't know the difference of what we shot between what they edit. They don't use everything,
right?
So we need to be up to speed with the story. And,
right.
That makes it makes perfect sense. Yeah. So one of the things that I love, and I've kind of we talked about this a little bit, your characters are very polar opposites, like. But for each of you as a performer, even though this is a character that existed, or a storyline and a legacy that existed within the comics, you've had an opportunity to really bring your character to the screen. I'm going to start with Erin on this one. As a performer, what drew you to the character, and what has been for you the most fun thing about bringing this character of Starlight to life?
So I feel like what drew me to the character and project is what right off the bat when I first got sent it is what maybe had me feel not repelled by it. That's too strong of a word. But when I got sent the project and I saw that this character's name was Starlight, I was like, oh, wow, this is going to be that type of show. And it was the opposite. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was the opposite. Here was this character where in the first episode of season 1, she has this scene with the deep and so much is going on and so much is comedic. And I love that because I love that type of satirical, dry humor. So the context of this character and this script, I thought both were brilliant. And then with this character, I just kind of saw an opportunity similarly where at first glance you feel like you know who she is. You feel like you can pigeonhole her straight off the bat, and everyone is going to have like a visceral perception of her that she's going to be able to, spin that stereotype on its head. So that's been my favorite part, is taking this character who looks like she's going to be your stereotypical ingenue, goody two-shoes, like just squeaky clean, and finding parts of her, especially in season 2. That's why I love shooting season 2. That are darker and darker and darker. Not to say that she doesn't, I think, maintain a consistency with who she is and trying to do the best thing possible for the world and as a superhero, but it's finding those little dark nuances that she needs to find in herself to adapt to her world that I've loved. And then I also just loved in season 2 kind of becoming an honorary member of the boys. I just think that they're really fun, and I love that they're the vigilantes, but they're the ones that are ultimately kind of the good guys, and they're dark. And so it's just fun to be one of the few cast members that gets to do a ton of crossovers. So love that.
I love it. And Antony, you seem like a very nice person, from what I can tell. And Homelander is At all.
Well, yeah, that's putting it mildly. I like to think I'm relatively nice, I guess, but I do keep getting cast in these quite dark roles. So I don't know what that means. Maybe that's a sign of a misspent youth. I don't know, but I love the character. I love the show. I love that. A lot of what Erin said rings true for all of us. I think there's something special about being part of a show which is in that superhero genre, which we all love, which is all over which saturates the environment now socially and popular culture. But having it be subversive and really flipping everything on its head is a really nice, fresh take on things. So it's great. And for me, I would rather. I love being the bad guy. I love it. It's great. It's so fun because, and maybe that's because I do think I've got a good family, and I've got a lovely mom and a good dad, and they put some decent ethics and morals in me, and so maybe it's being that I'm a bit of a straight dude. I can then do things on screen that are just so vile and despicable, and to me they're just funny.
I mean, you mean like that last scene? You mean that last scene of the finale?
Woo! That last scene, though, we saw a lot of Homelander.
I knew that would go.
We saw a lot of Homelander.
We did.
Yeah. It's funny. That scene. That's funny. That scene was when Amazon was a little ginger about the show because it's a bit of a departure for them in terms of the nature of the content, and they were a little spooked out about releasing this show that had such graphic sexual content in it. So they cut that scene from season 1, which I was like, oh, come on. You guys, come on. You can put that in there. At this point, we've got all sorts of other things that are going to steal the thunder. That no one's going to worry about a Caped Crusader jerking off on a building. So then it ended up in season 2 because they didn't they felt one shot was too ambiguous, which I completely disagree with. I actually love the old trial. I'm not going to tell you what it was because who knows? They might regurgitate it.
It might end up in season 3.
It might come up in season 3. You never know. They might warp my storylines even more. But no. So seeing that scene like thrust in there, shall we say, was really like I was like, wow. Okay. I've learned to understand why it makes sense there and justify it for myself and in turn for the fans. So
and out of all of the scenes that Homelander had, that was probably one of the tamest. To be honest.
Honestly, it's a little bit. Well, the funny thing is we don't mind him stepping. He curb stomps in season 1 a little boy's head. And a teenager's head, we got no problem with the violence, but when there's a little self-loving, all of a sudden it's an issue, and I'm like, we need to make an adjustment there, I think. But
but I think this is interesting, and it's a great segue into the next question I had for you, Antony, which was, how do you begin even approaching a character like Homelander, and because there are very specific facial expressions, tics. It is very clear that there is a switch that goes on and off with Homelander. And, do you feel like, I guess you may have already answered this one. Were there anything like that for you? You were like, oh, this might be a scotch too fuller?
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, yeah, I mean, I get very specific about certain things with character, but it's really, I think with a character like this, right? I think it would be very easy to go, well, he's the bad guy and he's Captain America meets Superman, and then come up with some pretty stereotypical choices that might be a little mustache twirly and caricatures. So it's really the same as any other character you approach it, for me anyway. And I never know when I've got a character like I don't know what's gonna happen because they're all different. I just need to find something genuine in it. So I start building inside and making choices about things from the inside and work out, because especially with this, the external is so obvious and so big that it's the internal choices that really then count to stop it becoming caricature. And then the facial stuff, I don't know that I'm doing it. It's it just happens, and then I'm like, oh, I did that, and people, it's mentioned a lot, and I'm like, I'm lost. I can't answer that because I don't know what's happening. So
Wow.
so that only happens. I think those things happen. Anything that people think is good or whatever, I find it difficult to judge. But that's the result of the internal work and having a solid base there. And I think we're lucky. All of the actors on the show, whether they have a different process, approach the show and the work with a very strong process, and I think that reflects in the strength of the characters.
That's awesome. So, Erin, Starlight's journey is both unexpected, I think, for a lot of folks, kind of like what you were talking about with this idea, like you saw the name and then you read the script and you're like, oh, not what I expected, right? Because she has a lot of empowering moments. Like, she's got this whole idea of, well, and honestly, out of all the characters who want to be superheroes, she seems to be the only one who really wants to be a hero. For you, what was your inspiration for the role? And did you find yourself a little bit in Starlight as a character?
Yeah, okay, so in terms of inspiration, I feel like for me, the world of The Boys and with Starlight, the first time you meet her, she's in her costume. She's shooting lightning out of her hands to audition to be in the Seven. The superhero component is so inherently in the character in the world that I feel like my inspiration came from very human standpoints. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that kind of was also the intention with the writers and with our showrunner, Eric Kripke, is that she is a superhero and she's got superpowers, but at the end of the day, a lot of her storyline and her trials and tribulations are going to be very relatable to non-superheroes. So my inspiration for her was really sort of a collective experience, whether it was, some drawing from some of my own and some other young women that I know that grow up in a world where they're trying to kind of, they're very sheltered and they then get exposed to the real world and they have to adapt. And also sexual abuse is I'm not going to use the word pandemic because that feels too literal right now, but it's just a rampant part of our society. It's gotten better, but unfortunately, that was something that was not very hard to find, not inspiration for, but just draw from people I know and from experiences throughout even my world in Hollywood. So it just felt like I was kind of building Starlight out of this collective young woman experience that I have been a part of, that a lot of young women have been a part of, that I've observed and experienced myself. And then what was the second part of the question? Starlight.
I think you answered it as do you feel like you found a little bit of yourself in Starlight?
Yeah, I feel like I did. I feel like there were certain moments where I really just sometimes there are parallels with the character and sometimes there aren't. And when there are, you can use it, and there just happened to be moments where I felt very connected to her, because I think even though she's not stereotypical, I do think that she serves as an archetype and an example of what a lot of young women go through.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is interesting because the scene that stuck out to me so much in season 2, because there's this undertow of women's empowerment throughout whether it's real or farce or it's marketing ploy, there is a very strong undertone. Even with Don Lewis coming in and the whole situation with her brother, and there is this girls get it done moment, and I feel real. I almost felt bad for Stormfront for 2 seconds when Maeve showed up, and this is it's this girl squad in power. Yes, I was I'm gonna give enough hints that you know where I'm going.
That moment. Yep. Okay.
I felt like this was the culmination of the women's empowerment theme that started in episode 1. Like, what was your first impression of this scene? And like, honestly, it felt so cathartic for Starlight.
Oh my God. Like, I think the cool thing about playing a character for multiple seasons is, at least I personally have started to feel kind of attached to her and defensive of her. So it's exactly what you said. It was really cathartic. But it's funny that you say you felt bad for Stormfront, because just for a second, because, you know, while we were filming it, obviously all of us as actors, we need to create the separation from ourselves and the characters. That's what acting is. But Aya Cash, who plays Stormfront, is kind of the nicest person you'll ever meet in your life. And then there we are, like, beating her to a pulp. So watching it and actually doing it, like I would shoot a moment where I would go up to her, and there were some, like, I don't know if you hear some of the lines that we improvise at the end, but they're brutal. And there are these moments where, like, I go and I knee her in the face, or I give her, and she responds. And afterwards I'd be like, I'm so sorry. I couldn't help it. It felt real. But then you get used to it. And I got to admit, like, doing the fight scenes on the show have been much more enjoyable than I ever anticipated. Like, not someone who, sure, films that have violence in them, I'm not really repelled like other people are if it's done right and it's not gratuitous. But, like, never thought that I would love fight scenes. I think they're so fun because of the catharsis. Because of the, like, I'm going to put someone in the position of this person I'm punching now, and I am going to take it out on them. So it was really fun. And like you said, I felt it in that moment that, like, she's been working this entire season to take this chick down. And it was just really, sorry to Aya, but it was really satisfying.
And she played it brilliant, right? That moment when she's just speaking German, and you're just like, wow,
Oh
she's
God.
done. She's done.
She's brilliant. She's yeah.
So for you, I think that every character on The Boys has a story, a journey, a weakness, whether it's love, compound V, breast milk, tree nut allergy. You know, there's a lot of weird weaknesses. But is there anything about your characters that you feel like you found unexpected, or that you, like, personally created that you think fans will be surprised to find out? And I'll toss it to Antony first, just because, there's a lot going on there with Homelander.
There's a lot. I mean,
there's
Look, we're really lucky because we got a great showrunner and creator, Eric Kripke, and right off the bat, you know, I get really involved, and thankfully everyone in the cast has their own way of doing this, but I can be perhaps overbearing, maybe, to the wrong person, but Eric and I get on really well creatively, and so like we work really well together, and a lot of really unexpected, like the milk, for example, was meant to be in one scene, and that was it. It was meant to be done. And then I when we were shooting it, it was so funny and got so weird. I went to Eric and I said, "Oh my God, dude, there's gotta be more milk." And so it became this thing where every email that Eric and I were, every scene just about, I was like, "Do you think I can drink milk in this scene?" And like, there's a scene with my son, and I'm like, "Give me a milk, please." It just becomes this ongoing joke that we found funny, so we were like, let's just put it in. So, and that's just an example of one thing, you know. And one thing that I've, like, really tried to cultivate, not just with the character, but with Eric and with the rest of the cast, like, you know, when Erin and I have scenes, to really try and make everything loose and unexpected, even when it's scripted. Try and keep it feeling improvisational, even if it's scripted, and really just create a sense of fun, which is difficult in TV because we're working so fast, and the tendency is to try and get it right, and that is a kiss of death. So I think, as much as any character traits, it's really like a creative work environment trait where we can go for it. Like even Erin, I know, doing scenes with you, just be like, you really hit me. Like when we were doing the elevator scene, for example, you know.
Well, like, he shoved me. Yeah,
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 brutal,
with permission, but like shoved me harder than you might expect.
But the good news, I mean, look, the good thing,
With my
as you were
permission.
sitting there before talking about doing stunt scenes, I was like, you just need to do more of them because they get really unenjoyable after a while. You get hurt so much. I'm throwing back to my
Well, let me be
Banshee
honest.
days.
Like that black noir, I've definitely done stunt scenes in our show that have left me. I have photographs that have left me looking like a zebra with bruises.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that answers the question whether or
are
not you do some of your own stunts. Boom.
That's why I love.
I mean, I gotta say though. No, I just gotta do a shout out to my stunt double Anita because I'm just gonna say she does. I'm not gonna take credit. She does most of them. But yes, Antony, what were you saying?
Well,
Why do you love this show?
Like in the elevator scene, for example, going back to what I was saying, like I mean. I like what I'm saying is creating an environment where we work together, not just to specifically what we plan, but to keep it alive in the moment and adjust the plan in the moment on the day so that we get something spontaneous and good. And and like with that scene, you were really game. You're like, no, throw me into the wall, and it was all done safely and carefully, but even when it's less overt than slamming someone around, but keeping that energy alive so that we can really let loose in the moment.
All right, so we're going to get to fan questions in a second, but I have a very quick, extremely important question for both of you. Homelander, Starlight, karaoke, what's their song?
Oh, shit.
My Way.
Okay.
My Way. Frank Sinatra.
What'd you say, My Way?
He said Frank Sinatra, My Way. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
No? What about you, Erin?
This is really funny. I'm going to answer this because it's like a little fun trivia fact, and it's just like my go-to. So actually, Jack Quaid and I have a legitimate karaoke song where if he and I are ever in a karaoke room, we sing it, and we think of it as Huey and Annie's song. And let me just preface it by saying it's like, they're both dorks, right? Like at the end of the day, and I say that with love. I love that component. But we sing I Really, Really, Really Like You by Carly Rae Jepsen, which is like the most like just shy, I really like you, have a crush on you. That's what we sing. Because we're like, if Huey and Annie had a musical, they'd sing that to each other. So that's it. I'm going to say that it has to do with Huey.
I love it. Well, and I also hope that you get a chance to sing again on the show, by the way, which is where the inspiration of that question came from. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, that was actually really fun. I loved that I got to record it in a recording booth, and then for the show we got to kind of film it because I love singing, but I get stage fright from it, so that was kind of negated from the whole experience. But I loved it. It was fun. So we'll see. I don't know. I have no idea, but I think it would be fun.
All right, so it is time for the fan questions. All right, so Stephanie, tell them, if Homelander and Starlight weren't soups, what would they do for a job? I think Starlight would be a counselor. For Homelander, I think he would be a milkman or tattoo removal.
Oh,
could he use his eyes for like laser tattoo removal?
I'm thinking if they weren't soups, but they still had the superpowers. Obviously,
dumb.
Right?
I literally was like, I thought that was random. So dumb.
No, don't be so hard on yourself. So I think
let's say without superpowers.
Yeah. Okay. Without superpowers, I don't know about the milkman. I mean, it's tricky to say without the superpowers. I have to stay with the superpowers. So if they didn't work for Vought, right, but they still had the superpowers, I'm going to go with the laser removal. Because I think that would give him I think he'd still be a sadist, and I think it'd still give him some sense of gratification and enjoyment by inflicting pain in a positive way on people, and also getting paid. I think that could be great. And I mean, maybe he would moonlight as a milkman. I
don't know if milkman means what we think it means, but I'm going to leave it there. Erin.
Hands off.
Full access to milk, although it's not breast milk. It's not breast milk. I feel like, but full access to milk would be a good thing for him.
It's true. It's dairy, and I don't think you can say breast milk is dairy.
I think, well, I would say that like the obvious answer, and I know that this kind of sounds like a cop out because it's obvious, but I gotta be honest. Like Starlight is so moral that it's like I wish I were as moral as her. I never will be, and I'm not. I think maybe she would be okay. I think her go-to immediate thing would be like Peace Corps, volunteering, traveling the world, something like that. I think she would end up either. I think that's what like she would spend her youth doing. I think she would either end up being one of those like people who goes through hardships and turns them into some books that end up being self-help books for others. Or I think if we're shooting for the stars, pun intended, I think she would end up being like maybe Peace Corps to like turning into some type of Brene Brown person, not by intention of being of that level, but just by the pure good she does and the, I don't know, maybe she'd eventually, as she gets older, become some type of motivator. But I would say Peace Corps for the beginning.
I can see Starlight public speaker. I like it. All right. So next question from the Star Source, who is a huge fan. Huge Erin fan.
Shout out to the Star Source. Love you guys.
What initially drew you to empowering roles like Starlight and Hope Schlotman in Marvel's Jessica Jones, who have experienced a lot of sexually assault, like kind of what you were talking about earlier. Like these are women who get over some very real things and come out more empowered on the other side.
I think, to be honest, I wish I was able to be more of an I wish I had the ability thus far to be more of an architect of my career than I have had, but it's kind of been it's been a stroke of luck that I've gotten to play these characters and I've booked these characters that have had these like kind of very complicated, dark journeys that have involved sexual assault, but they have ultimately become empowered. And I was thinking about this because I was like, oh yeah, I've played a couple of roles that have been sexually assaulted or raped. And then I realized, no, I've played more than that. I even did a pilot that was literally all about this lead character being sexually assaulted. And I was like, I think it's just a reflection of how common this is, which is so bad. But I'm glad that a Marvel show like Jessica Jones or a show like The Boys tackles it, because when it gets into the mainstream form of media, like superhero shows, that's when it starts to get a little less taboo. That's when it starts to get to the point where we can't ignore that it's happening so much. So what drew me to them is that I read the scripts and I loved the roles and I auditioned for them, and I just kind of feel lucky that I got to play them, honestly. But I have always kind of preferred to gravitate towards those types of roles where the character goes through some adversity, especially a young woman goes through some adversity, and it ultimately makes her stronger as opposed to becoming defeated by it. So I love that arc.
I love it. All right. So for Antony, besides a Jurassic themed movie, what's another theme you're interested in? And then for Erin, if you had another opportunity, would you sing again as a voice? So we know Erin's answer. I feel like it's a yes.
I can tell you what, just on that note, I would have her sing all the time in The Boys. I couldn't believe it because obviously that was the scene I was in. And I was like, when that song, they played the song festival and I was standing there, I was like, you could do that? I'm always so impressed because I sing like a cat gargling a bag of gravel and it's awful. So
it's true. I can attest to that.
It's okay. Relax, Erin. Relax. So it's really good for me to hear. I'm always so impressed when people that I'm friends with can do something I can't do, and then of course I get very competitive and voodoo doll them because I can't do that. But I'm kidding. So the Jurassic Park movie I think would be epic with no children. It'd be great. If I couldn't do that, you know what I love. And maybe this would be almost in the same zone, but I'm a big horror fan. I love horror films, and I'm constantly scouring. And they're very popular now because because they're relatively cheap to make and there can be good return on them. So it works for me because I love horror films and I'm constantly looking for the best of the bunch out there. So and fortunately for me, I just got to do my first, which was really exciting. I did a little film called Cobweb over in Bulgaria, which I just got back from, and it's so much fun because it's such it's so surreal what we ended up doing without going into what that film is about, but it's just such a heightened reality, and it's so grim and dark, and I guess that appeals to me in some way. Again, we get back to the grim and the dark, but yeah, love horror, love me a good horror.
I could see you in a slasher film. I can see like Homelander turns slasher. I can see it happening.
As the bad guy.
When I heard Jack Quaid was doing a reboot or an extension of the Scream franchise, the biggest part of me was like, "Yay, Jack, that's so good!" And then the next part was like on the phone going, "Are there any more roles? Do they need someone else? Do they need someone to stab someone? I'll pay to come and do it." I love them. I love a good scary movie.
All right, so next question from Vought Productions. To Erin, is there anything you would like to see for the Starlight Huey plot for season 3? Any hopes or specific scenes from the comics you would like to have come to screen? I gotta say, like the end moment where Huey is like, "I'm gonna take some time off," and she's just like, "What? Time off?
Oh yeah.
Wait, what? We just got here."
Her heart. Yeah, her heart. Yeah, I know her heartbreak. Okay, I feel like so far they've been so like it's been such a back and forth, and it's been such a like, are you ready? Because I'm not, or now I'm ready and you're not, and it's been like this thing where it's always been star-crossed lovers. So I would like to see I just want to see some type of, this is not very specific, but I want season 3 to bring some spice to their relationship. Like I want to see a fight where like Starlight gets so pissed off that she like blasts the wall next to him, and she's like, "Boy, I'm gonna use my powers if you do this or if you do that." Like I feel like they need a bit of do you know what I mean? Like it's always been I just want more. So I don't know what this means, but I'm trying to figure out specific examples. But I just feel like we need to see them get to the point where they're more comfortable with each other, because they've never been able to get to that point. It's always been like a falling in love, but we're still star-crossed. And I love you. I don't know if you love me back. And then you find out you do, and then they break each other's heart. And then like season 2 is the back and forth. I want them to get just comfortable with each other. So like. They're not so that they're both like, they've never kind of tapped into like the dark side of themselves or their humor or anything around each other. It's always just been these like lovebirds, and I want to see that. I want to see some like spiciness and darkness, and I think that's kind of inevitable as a couple gets comfortable with each other. But yeah, and I think season 3, from what I've heard, there are going to be interesting things that come into play with the dynamics of their relationship that definitely will bring the spice. So I'm excited for that.
All right,
I wish I could say more, but I literally don't know more.
Ready to leave the honeymoon phase,
exactly.
what that means.
Exactly.
All right, last question from the fans. Sorry, fans. I know there was a ton. We have so many questions. There are still questions coming now. But you have other things to do. And folks, folks will get a chance. Please keep asking the questions. I know you guys will see them on the internet.
I got to get back on Twitter and keep talking to these people.
So Ash Sevilla, Nerd Appropriate, if you had your character's abilities for one day, what would you do with them? And I'm going to add this, and why? Not that you're your character, just that you have their powers.
I want to go around and blast people I hate.
You're violent, man.
I want to go around and pick out people. Wait, let me get to that. I want to go around to people that I think I'm going to make that sound better. But I mean this. People who I think are making the world not a very good place, and I'm going to go and I'm gonna blast them. I think that would be it. I'm not going to get specific about who, but I think there are people that if they went missing, I don't think the world would be a worse place. Yeah, I think that.
Moriarty.
I think that.
Boom.
I mean, very, very core to the name Moriarty. I think it went straight there.
I'm just being a
Antony?
little, just being honest.
Staying on brand. Staying on brand.
Well, I'm obviously I'm a gentler soul and less violent and aggressive towards people. I like people, you know, and I believe everyone has some. I want to redeem people. So, I'm with you. Actually, if I had lasers for a day, boy, oh boy, there were some people would get lasers. Let me tell you. But I literally every night this week have had flying dreams. And funnily enough, the more I've done press, oh wow! I swear to God, this is true. The more I've been doing press for the show, because we do so many of these meetings now, and you know, it's been a great response to season 2. So there's been a lot of press talking about Homelander so much that I've had so many work dreams where I am Homelander, and the flying is not literally Homelander, but just I can fly and I'm wearing the suit and the cape. I've always wanted to be able to fly. I think that would be amazing. I'm going to throw in one thing because it's all I could think of just then when we were thinking about it, because this is something I really, really would love. If I could have any superpower, it's a little tangent, but it's related. If I could have any superpower, it would be that my body could process fatty foods like burgers and pasta in a way that I didn't get fat, so I could eat as much of those things as I want. Junk food, fast food, tasty food, good food, not make me fat. And just, that could be my staple diet. I respect that. Fact.
Yeah, I've said that one before too.
Oh, have you?
I respect it.
Okay.
I like it.
Well, I needed to add
that for sure. That's like mine half of the time. But yeah. I mean, that would be pretty much like that. That would be the one that would make life really enjoyable.
I mean, that's like a dream.
Immensely enjoyable. Yeah, that's true.
I love it. Now I want to go get fries and just test out a theory. So before we go, for both of you, can you let folks know where you are going to be coming up, what projects you have coming up, where people can find you while we are waiting for the next season of The Boys? We'll start off with you, Erin.
So really, I am on social media. I would say that I use Instagram more than anything else, and it's at Erin Moriarty. And then my Twitter, which I use a little bit less, but I'm on, is I believe at Erin Moriarty _, but they're both verified, so you can find me. And then really, honestly, because of the COVID year, kind of eradicating our industry, the next thing you'll be able to see me in will be season 3 of The Boys. But luckily, we're going back to that very, very, very soon. I'm
gonna add to that, and on your behalf, Erin, because we're friends, and so I do know that she's being a little coy, and she has got a couple of other things on the boil that are looking like they're going to materialize if they can fit in. But I'm not going to say anything about them because it's not my place. But I'm excited to see what happens with you, Erin. Just quietly.
I'm excited to hear what you're talking about. Thank you.
I'll text you after. But anyways, okay. I'm just teasing. I'm teasing Moriarty kid. Myself, we are heading back in sometime very relatively early in the next in 2021 to do The Boys, which is going to be exciting. We want to make that. And I just got back from Bulgaria actually doing this horror film called Cobweb, which was awesome with Lizzie Kaplan and for Lionsgate. So that will come out. I think they'll wait for the release until we get a little bit out of this Cobweb thing. And yeah, because like Erin said, there's not a lot of action in the cinemas at the moment, and we do want a theatrical with this. So that's what I'll be in next. And then I guess after that, The Boys. Yeah.
Well, we are all excited about seeing season 3 so excited. Thank you both for being here with us. I am so excited for folks to get a chance to, get their stuff autographed, because I don't see the boys going anywhere anytime soon.
No,
Congratulations.
absolutely, and honestly, like just on that note, like for us, doing this and being able to do it's a very strange situation. 2020 has been, let's face it, a very difficult year, no matter who you are. But I know some people are really hurting out there, and one of the cool things that we get to do in this job is to get out. I've always loved this back from the Banshee. Started going to the conventions, and that is it's the coolest group of fans with no pretense. They're just such good, genuine people. I dig getting into those conventions and that, and meeting these awesome people, and I relate to them a lot because I was. I was a nerd in school. I think nerds actually are the cool people personally, but that's not a humble brag. But this is kind of a way that we do. It's not the same as meeting in real life. But in the meantime, while we wait for this mess of 2020 to blow over a bit, we're really stoked to be able to just do something. It's a small little way of connecting, but. Really excited to be doing this with you guys and for the fans. So, and may there be many more until we can get back face to face.
Agreed.
Well, thank you. The fan interactions we've had. Thank you so much. No, I was just going to say the fan interactions we've had so far have been one of the best parts of this job, and I'm very excited about this one, even though it's a COVID adapted one. And thank you guys so much for involving us in this, and we're glad that this is yet another way to interact with those fans.
We got the best fans. Actually, we got the best fans. We really do.
It's true.
They're exceptionally passionate and really like. Really, they really get so much out of the show that is put in. There's so much detailing and work that goes into the show, and they just drain it all out. They don't miss a trick, man. And I love it.